time.
Yeah.
So,
George doesn't watch a lot of fight.
yeah.
He does. He's sneaky with it.
I watch a lot of fights.
He commentates the fights live for us.
Yeah, when you beat Tio, I commentated it.
He's fucking good.
Yeah.
All right.
Good to go?
Yeah.
All right. Hey, what is up, Fight Hype family, boxing fans around the world? Your man Sean Zattel, as always, here on FightHype.com live. And we got the big one tomorrow night, the Undisputed Lightweight Championship of the World. Devin Haney defending the 4 titles against Vasiliy Lomachenko. But we got a guy here who's held all 4 of those belts before, who knows much better than I or just about anybody what's really on the line tomorrow night and what it's really going to take from Devin Haney and Vasiliy Lomachenko. But first, George, you and your father, Jim, you came out here, signed a multi-fight deal with Lou DiBella in Top Rank. Starts July 22nd against Maxie Hughes, the IBO champion. But how much of you also came out here because of your relationship now with Devin Haney? Is it part of you here to support him as well? And how close are you now, having shared 24 rounds with each other?
Yeah, look, there was a lot of positives to be here. Obviously signing with Top Rank, obviously Lou DiBella, announcing our fights and announcing our promotion. But again, it's a big fight week. It's a big fight, and I had done them rounds with Devin Haney, 24 rounds straight. So I was excited to watch this fight be here. We saw the fans. We saw how much commotion there is when Kambosos rocks up. Fans absolutely love me, and it's great to be back in Vegas, back to America, and I had to be. This is part of the job, to be here to promote myself, promote everything that's going around, but also support Devin, and looking forward to seeing a great fight tomorrow.
Yeah, and it took you about 2 hours to get from MGM Grand Garden to your hotel room because of all the fans that probably fell in love with you for the Lopez fight here in America, and then you go back to Australia. But your first fight back before we get to Haney and Lomachenko is going to be in America. You're back in the States, July 22nd, Oklahoma against Maxie Hughes. What do you think about that fight?
Yeah, look, it's a great fight, returning fight. That's the fight that we chose. He's a good name. He's number 1 in the UK. He's got the IBO World Title list and IBF Eliminator as well. So we've got 2, great options on that, with a world title with IBO and an IBF Eliminator. So it's like killing 2 birds in 1 stone. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm really the way I feel, the way I've been training. I'm extremely refreshed. I'm very hungry. I'm very motivated. And like I've told people, I don't need to fight. I want to fight. I love fighting. I love the combat, the one-on-one. That feeling. And just seeing a big fight week like this, has driven me even more. I want to have that big fight week again. I want that commotion. I want them stadium fights. I've been a part of it. Of 3 big undisputed fights in a row. I've been involved in massive events. So knowing what's to come in my career and this opponent, this guy stands in my way of bigger and better things. But we're very focused on Maxie Hughes, and I will take him out. Simple as that.
Bigger and better things, and it's not. When the former, lightweight champion, you're not chasing anybody, but to put it that way, are you out here chasing America's best? Stevenson, Davis,
yes,
even the guys.
Look, yes, I'm chasing them, but I believe they're chasing me as well. They're looking at big name, always in a great fight, fan friendly. Loves to bring the action, bring the heat. So both ways, looking at them. I know what I've done in my career. I know the guys that I've beat, the fighters I've gone through, the experience I've gained in wins and losses. And I'm looking at all these guys. But again, my focus on one guy. I'm not losing sight of who I have next, and that's Maxie Hughes. Simple as that.
George, my man Nick Noonan.
George, ZCat reporting live. FightHype.com on location here in Las Vegas. George, what can you tell us about Maxie Hughes, where he's from, what he's about? Because you're an Australian headlining an event in America fighting a guy from the UK. Could it have happened in Australia, or can it happen in the UK? Or it's a different concept.
Yeah, look, everything happens for a reason. The game in Australia at the moment is a bit complicated. I feel the game at the moment is tough for myself. I can get on, I can talk to a few sort of people, and we sign a major promotional deal with, two powerhouse promoters and be headlining a big show here. Simple as that. But I feel sorry for a lot of these younger guys that are not going to get this opportunity and are stuck not getting TV time now in Australia because of the complicated reasons behind that. But that's history. Things happen for the better. And the face of Australian boxing will again raise the flag, overseas here in America, the mecca of boxing. And I'm looking forward to making a statement against him. He's a good fighter.
Yeah, tell us about him.
The respect for him. He's a family man. But that's where it ends. And I'm very focused on taking him out. I see the holes. Look, when you've had to study guys like Lopez and Lomachenko when that fight was nearly done, and then Devin Haney twice, and you got to sit there and crack the smallest of holes on these guys. These guys are elite of the elite. The holes are like minute. And then when you come up against a guy like Maxi Hughes, where you see the holes, where we've chosen this guy because he's a perfect return fight for me. I see these holes, and I'll open him up like Swiss cheese.
We'll get to Loma and Haney and the thoughts from today, but let's go back. You were signed to fight Lomachenko, right? It was 100% done. Tell us about, like, when you're talking about switching and you got time to prepare for Maxi Hughes. Were you and your team at the time really like, this is what we've got to do to beat Lomachenko? Because you were thinking Lomachenko, and then obviously the tragedy of what happened over in the Ukraine, Sean, and all that sort of stuff. Your team did an amazing thing. You went from Lomachenko to Devin Haney. Like, talk about that, and were you zoned in on Lomachenko?
Yeah, we were. We already did a bit of southwest sparring. We had guys lined up, and that was the guy that we knew pretty much the fight was going to happen now. Not that we didn't want to fight Devin Haney. When I beat Lopez, I was adamant that I wanted to fight Devin Haney or Vasiliy Lomachenko.
Yeah.
They were the two names. Obviously, Garcia was floating around. Gervonta was floating around. He was never going to come to Australia. So we knew, realistically, these are the two big names, best names, and I don't want to fool the crowds. I don't want to take a lesser opposition. I want to fight, the best of the best. Now, negotiations is where fights are made or broken down. At that point, the best deal for me and the one that made most sense was the top-ranked deal with Lomachenko.
Yeah, right.
But in that whole fiasco of who's going to get the fight,
you go and fight a guy that fucking could even be. We're going to see tomorrow night, Sean. Well, this guy.
That's right.
How good is this guy?
So at that point, when Vasily went to the war and defended the Ukraine and did what he had to do, it was a simple answer.
But you and the team didn't go.
No,
we might fight a Maxi Hughes. And you went straight to Devin. Yes,
we went straight to Devin.
Short, aggressive southpaw to tall, orthodox.
Yeah.
Long range, a guy that comes in around about 154, 60
But we knew what we were coming up against.
Yeah.
I knew, and at that stage, I felt unbeatable. I hadn't been beaten. Just beaten in my mind at that stage, the best lightweight in the world. In my mind, I was like, maybe the ego, whatever it was. I said, no one's going to beat me. Yeah, if it's not Lomachenko, bring on Devin Haney. Wow. We'll get him as well. Now, is it ego? Yeah, maybe a little bit, but I think it's competitive nature. It's
the best fighting the best.
Yeah, it's the best fighting the best. And I've always been, me and my father and my manager, we've always been that, forget the zero. Yeah, and we look back now, we say, it would have been nice to hold the belts a little bit longer, but then we think to ourselves, who cares? We fought the best of the best. Now, if
these guys are fighting now.
Well, that's right, they're fighting now, and I look at it that I started this trend, I made this all possible.
Sean was saying that today.
It really did. I made this all possible, so it is what it is, and we'll see. If Devin goes out there and steamrolls Lomachenko, my stocks go up. If Lomachenko was to go and pull this off, I think as a true champ and a man of his word, we could see that fight between me and him in a stadium fight. So there are a lot of ways this can go. But
if Lomachenko, you're going to say Lomachenko tomorrow night, like when we get you react, like, Loma, we were signed to fight in Sydney and Melbourne.
Yeah, look, I think Devin is going to do the business, and like I said, Devin is a very good fighter, very tactical and very hard to fight. But styles make fights, so it'd be interesting. But you got to give Devin the backing of tomorrow.
If anyone knows, you're the guy that's been in there for 24 rounds.
Let me ask you this, George. Lomachenko, before the fight this week, he says Devin's jab is kind of like Ryan Garcia's left hook, kind of getting at that's all he's got. If you get past that. In fight number 2 with you, correct me if I'm wrong, he showed a lot more.
Yes.
Fight number 1, it was basically the
Yeah,
jab.
Fight number 1, it's a big event, and he used his jab. He did what he had to do. He held, he had to move, he did what he had to do in that fight to win it. We were obviously quite upset, and at a point where we thought, how did we lose this fight? Because in my mind, and looking back at the fight, it was a close fight. If you turn the commentary off and get away off all the, it was an easy fight, whatever. It was a really good fight and a close fight. Could have went kind of either way, or he might have just edged it. But he used his jab. He did the smart way of boxing. In the second fight, where he stood there more, he went more toe to toe, and he landed his right hands. He landed the uppercuts, the body shots, the left hooks. And to my credit, not only I took him, but I kept firing a warrior. I kept coming back with what I had, but unfortunately, it wasn't enough.
You landed a lot better shots yourself.
Yeah, look, the second fight, even that the scoring was way off, I thought that it was a closer fight, much closer fight, maybe an 8-4. I didn't win the fight, but I thought it was a closer fight, and it would have been nicer to get the respect from the judges. An 8-4, 7-5 kind of fight. He had good moments. He nearly took me around 10 great moments as well, especially in that first and in the later rounds. Round 9, I landed a beautiful right hand where it jarred him. I thought, here we go, he's nearly there, but he came back like a true champion and landed a beautiful one too. So that's the fight game. Live and you learn, and you go through these battles, and you become a better fighter.
How much did we get a better second fight because your pressure increased? And how sad that tomorrow night is, if we get a good fight or not, is really based on how much chances Lomachenko's willing to take. Because you took more chances in fight number 2.
I took more chances in fight number 2. I had a better camp. Me and my head coach Chris really, analysed a lot of things. We really sat down and tried to really adapt to a different game plan. We came into Southpaw, went into Orthodox. Yes, we made a few mistakes. We look back at it now, and I see the mistakes I made as well. Could have been better if we had a bit more time. Yes. But it is what it is. You have a lot of pressure in these big fights, especially in the first fight. Stadium fights, you're trying to sell it.
44,000.
Yeah, 45,000 in a stadium in the middle of winter is incredible. Huge numbers, and again, Devin wasn't too known at that stage in Australia. Kambosos was the name, so I was the one selling all the tickets. I was the one that was promoting and driving everything. We look at some big fights, how hard it is just to sell 15,000 tickets. I think about 45,000 in the stadium to a country that boxing is not their first sport.
Right.
So it shows how much I transcended the sport in Australia, and the kind of impact I had on it.
Because the only guy I could think of in Australia that would get Australians to pay attention, but it was in a negative way, was Anthony Mundine.
Yes,
correct. Right.
Look,
no offense to him,
Troc is a legend, but different times, and he loved playing the villain, the bad guy kind of role. I played, the champion role, the guy with a bit of charisma, but was smart. I did go off a little bit into the villain role as we went into fight work. I did lose my mind a little bit.
Let's talk about the rat thing.
I did become a little bit mad.
What did you about the rat thing?
Devin thought you were playing the character. Yeah. I remember he thought you were like going Russell Crowe.
He said, "Stop acting." Stop acting.
Maybe a little bit. Maybe I did. Not acting, but just his confidence, just his bravado. This guy can't beat me. I'm here at home. I'm the champ. I'm the king. I'm the emperor. Whatever. But the emperor, in most times, the emperor or the king goes mad, and that's what happened. I went mad. I just thought,
I'll have to ask your dad when we get a chance. Jim, did you lose George down to earth for just a moment there? Probably not, right? But
no, not to the point where I was rude, arrogant.
Right.
Always showed love to the fans, but my mindset just was in this, this kill mode. But it was the wrong kind of mode. It wasn't the right mode. I was focused and being able to break down Devin Haney. Look, Devin is very good with. I'm very mentally good. I've really been able to break down fighters. It's a hard guy to crack. A few times I felt like I was going to crack him with getting under his skin and doing certain things. But he's a cool cat, so it is what it is. But look, we're both, we both did big numbers. We've done a stadium fight, and we put the risk. Someone's I had to go, and it was mine. But big deal.
You guys still young.
Yeah, we're young. I'm 29, and I'm back.
But Devin was 23 at the time. We were talking about this today, coming all the way down to our country. We were letting some people in on some mid-side things. Bill wasn't there the whole week, and then Bill all of a sudden rocked up. Do you feel that with the Haney team that week that sort of spun the momentum a little bit when Bill arrived?
Yeah.
On the Saturday night.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't think I've ever said this, but I was doing a training session. I think it might have been the day before the weigh-in or whatever it was. I was doing a training session.
Friday.
Yeah, and then as I finished training, I felt really, really good, and I looked at my phone. And look, it was very unfortunate. Obviously, Bill's a great guy, and unfortunate the whole situation. I could have.
Sorry to cut you, but your team were trying to get him in the whole time.
Yes, and even at the first
That's
press
facts.
conference, I pushed it publicly.
We want Bill here.
Get him there here. Yeah. But at that point, it was like, no, I don't think he's going to get here. And then when I had the session, finished the training session, I checked my phone, and I felt really good, but I just felt like certain things weren't aligning, and I just certain things weren't aligning. I just felt like just things weren't right, but I was still focused and motivated that I'll get this job done. But then when I saw Bill heading over too, like Bill's coming, blah blah, I thought, that's just swinging the momentum. That's just going to give him that extra edge too. I felt a little bit, but again, as a true champion, a true fighter, I said, no, I'm here to win this fight and do what I can. But yeah, it is what it is, man. That fight, it was a good fight. It wasn't a fantastic fight. It wasn't the most entertaining fight. He did what he had to do. I tried to do what I could, but restricted by certain things. And the best man won on that night or in that day on Sunday lunchtime. And then 5 months later, we got to do it again, and it's a better fight. But it is what it is.
Both you guys, Haney and yourself, speed stands out when you watch tape.
Yeah.
How would you rate the lightweight speed in this division, yourself included? 1 through maybe 4 or 5.
Yeah, I think myself and Haney have really good speed, really sharp, explosive speed. Tank is more precise. He's a puncher.
Timing.
He's got good speed as well. Lomachenko, no, he's not the fastest guy, but again, he's got good timing, good footwork. He gets in position to be able to land his shots.
Is he not as fast as he used to be?
No, I don't think so. I don't think he's as fast, but it's still enough. Look, speed is not always everything. It's about the timing. It's about being in the right position to land them shots. Shakur again, he's got decent speed, pretty good speed. That's the big name.
Guys like Shakur and Tank, right?
Yeah.
Same size as you, unlike Devin, with those freakishly long arms at 5'9".
Yeah, physical aspects play a big role. Physical aspects. Look, Lopez was big, strong, muscular. When he came to the fight from the weigh-in, but came to the actual fight, he was way bigger than me physically. But size-wise, height-wise, and physical aspects of reach, no, he wasn't. So it made my job a lot easier, being more of a counter puncher kind of boxer. I was able to land my shots, land my knockdown in round one and land the hard shots. With Haney, it's always difficult. Now, he has 4-inch reach. Tomorrow, he has a 6-inch reach against Lomachenko.
Big factor.
But again, Lomachenko has fought guys with a lot of reach, but he hasn't fought a guy like Devin Haney too. So
does he have a... we talked about it before we went on camera. Your style, you're making adjustments to it, picking the hand up more. Although I think you made it work for you. Yes. The lead hand low. It's just Devin was a tough style.
We have it there. We've worked on certain things. Sometimes we like to bring it low. Sometimes we'll bring it up high. We're working on a lot of different things. You'll see a better improved Kambosos. Nick has seen already, bits and pieces and a couple of sparring sessions with some really good fighters back home. And I just feel better. I'm refreshed. I'm hungry. I'm motivated. And everything else in my life is my family. Everyone is all good. My kids are healthy and they're good. For me, just boxing, learning more, and it shows that you can reach the top of boxing. You can do everything in boxing, but still continue learning. Still be hungry to learn and continue finessing your skills. That's what it is.
But for Loma, who will southpaw, unlike you orthodox, for the most part he's keeping his hands here.
Yep.
Does his style better to get on the inside against Haney than yours? You think he'll be able to get there? Yeah, does your gut tell you he's going to get there? He's going to get where he needs to go.
Maybe he'll be able to get in a couple times, but I think
it looks hard.
Haney's very good at adapting. It is hard. It makes you work, so much extra trying to get on the inside of a guy like Devin Haney. It just depends. It really depends. Styles make fights. Can he get on the inside? How long can he get on the inside for it? Will he be tied up? Will the ref break it? There's certain aspects, when he breaks, is he going to try for a sneaky shot? Like obviously Devin's been talking about. There are a lot of aspects of this fight, and there's a lot of aspects in the fight game. There's physical aspects, there's things in the rings, there's outside aspects, there's media obligations, there's so many things that go into just that fight. So you really don't know.
Do you feel like you and Stevenson and Davis?
I'll tell you this, right?
Yeah.
That push from that
The
reaction, right, could play in a positive way for Devin, where it's like I'm the man, I'm showing him my strength. But also, I just looked at social media and people are really getting behind Lomachenko now. So sometimes momentum shift like that. Now, I don't know how much social media. Well, I don't know how much social media Devin looks at when obviously this period. But if
he's a young man, I'm sure plenty.
Yeah,
he's
plenty.
24-year-old.
I think a lot.
Look, if he's starting to look and starting to read into these comments, you're fighting, and it happened to me in the first fight with Devin Haney when I missed the initial weight, which there was obviously flooring and whatever.
Everyone was making fun of the hard war stuff.
40 people on, and then I came out and I went back and took a piss and skipped a little bit. It was only 100 grams, tiny. Come back and then again just lost my mind and I had a war deception. I probably shouldn't have said that, but
it's a learning curve.
Learning curve. But then also back home, back at the hotel, instead of hydrating and really being relaxed, like I was for the Lopez fight, I'm reading into everything. Oh my god, this guy's writing this. Yes, this guy's writing that.
How many fighters turn the phone off?
It's hard, man. It's hard, especially I did for the second Haney fight. You were there, you saw it.
Yeah.
Fine, I was interested. I just focus on what I do. And that's why I don't have much
I didn't know
fight.
that.
Yeah, but fighters.
You reckon Devin's the phone now?
I don't know. Maybe he's watching here. Who knows?
Probably is.
Sounds like a momentum swing out of your favor. If it was a game, you're doing well, and all of a sudden you take one bad shot. Or I know you're a soccer guy. Something you make one wrong move, and all of a sudden you're out of your game. You're out of your rhythm.
So it depends. If he's sitting there looking at it over, analysing this and arguing. Not physically, but arguing with himself to these guys. Like people write, someone write a stupid comment, you say to yourself, and then you go another comment. What do you know? That's just negative little things, and these little negative point, half percenters, whatever, start to add up, and your brain starts to focus, on other things when you should be focused on the fight.
Well, Tim Bradley said that you may have given the old man a little extra juice that wasn't there.
Maybe. Or Lomachenko, like Zab Judah just said when we just spoke. Has really given an edge to Devin because now Loma's constantly going to be thinking about the push. I've got to pay him, get my payback now, and that takes away what Lomachenko game plan could be. So there's a lot of ways you can look at it. We're going to find out tomorrow.
Could run into a shot.
Yes, possibly he could have a more extra aggression, runs into a shot, or it works against you. You really don't know.
Could that make a guy who's not a puncher a puncher?
Yes,
because you're running into it. Where normally you wouldn't have power, but now.
Definitely. There's a lot of ways.
Because there's power. People talk about Devin and this. There's power there with Devin. It's flashy. It's hard. You've been in there for 24 rounds.
Yeah,
he never knocked you down or wobbled you, but there's power.
Around 10, he lands some good shots, bro. I still felt good. I still felt like, bring it on.
But is it like the Mayweather effect at welterweight, where these guys aren't getting hurt, but it's enough. It's enough to keep them honest and keep them off.
It keeps you honest. That's what it is. It keeps you honest. And it's like an explosive kind of shot. It's not a thumping shot. It's not a guy, but he was some big shots. It's not like a whoa, what was that? But it's a shot you don't see, and a shot where he gets out of range, comes back in, and lands his shots. So it's enough, and it did improve from the first fight to the second fight. So if we're going off that, it should improve from now to the Lomachenko.
Well, he'll be about 155 pounds, right?
I think bigger shot.
Would you be pissed if you were Loma and you knew he got to weigh in at 9 instead of 2 or 3?
The contract though, Sean.
It is what it is. Yeah. It is what it is.
I think the team actually today, guys, we were there, and the team, Egos and that, they were pissed off about it. But it's in the contract. You guys worked this out 3 months ago, so it was a 9 o'clock.
Like with Garcia 3 weeks
ago. They got no Vasiliy and his team and his manager and that were playing it up. But that's the contract, and these guys work through all that sort of stuff when you have to do it in the fight negotiations and all that.
Right. I guess you don't want to hear any excuses like you never said the guy was on his bike or some things fighters say after they lose.
Like obviously we were just a little bit upset in the first fight with the holding and we thought that the referee didn't break enough to fight it. Yeah, I believe so. You know, we saw ESPN put out how many clinches were initiated and stuff. So I think there was a little bit of extra holding, but it is what it is. I don't sit there and say, the holding won him the fight. He still did some good work in that first fight.
Do you think Haney, maybe by talking about Loma's, because Loma, if you hold him, he's so good at
look, the thing with Lomachenko
is he appealing to the refs?
Yeah, it could be. It could be. I think the thing with Lomachenko, he's good on the inside too, and like Devin said, he does get dirty sometimes on the inside where he'll break and he'll fire a shot. We saw it with Comey. I felt bad for Comey when I was watching that fight because. At that point, Loma was in the mix, and I just beat Lopez at that stage. I kind of felt bad because, tell him to break, and he really didn't say it was going to make a difference anyway. Loma was
actually in that fight, he sorry, Nick,
this is a good point.
Because actually, as in that fight against Comey, Loma starts looking to the ref. He shows mercy.
Yes, yeah.
And when he fought his fight before that against Nakatani, because he was so mad that he fought with more spite, and he'll need that.
And he'll need that tomorrow. Yeah, he's going to need that tomorrow.
He's going to need it, and a bit more, I think. Think about this.
Did you fight with that spite against Lopez? Did he bring that out of you a little bit?
There was a lot. Yeah, there was spite, but it was always business. It was always business for me. It was always.
You brought out warrior.
You don't want to. You
outthought him, actually.
I outthought him, but you don't want to.
I thought you had beat before the fight.
You don't want to bring out too much emotion too. But I was just fully prepared for it.
You were the only guy who knew he was going to win that fight, man.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Of course. No,
I didn't. I had a betting agency that's still very upset with me, and one of Jim's friends at the betting agency. We backed him in at 13-1.
He knew in his heart all along from the moment I talked to you in Vegas.
I knew. You'll back me up. I said on social media numerous times, this guy's different. Right? I'm telling you guys, Nick, you're too close to him. He's going to beat this kid. He started beating him in June the 19th. He started beating him in September. They were going to fight in October.
Yeah, for that fight, it was
the way he was doing his social media and everything.
Yeah.
And he was beating.
It was a war.
And then when it comes to fight week, he beat him again. Sean, think about this, and Ron and everyone, and people watching. In Australia today, right, the guys weighed in this morning at 9 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
In Australia, they fight tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Think about it, Sean. Imagine tomorrow if we were going to the fight. It's a daytime fight, 2 o'clock. What you're going to see a different Devin tomorrow night than when he fought George in terms of size. Yeah. We're walking. Well, we're not but the event is walking at 10:15. Devin's got
extra hours. Yeah.
7 extra hours. So
36
for the 36 hours. That's a key factor in this fight. Now, the first fight in Melbourne, we weighed in at 10 o'clock. George missed weight. He come back around about 10:36 and made weight. We walked to the ring at 2:36, and it was around about 40 degrees. But in Melbourne it was 8 or 9. The second fight, he walked a little bit later. He walked around about 2:45, 3 o'clock. Tomorrow they're walking at 10:15. That's a massive advantage for Devin Haney and his team. Massive.
And George, too, just before I let you go, I know you want to eat some Italian food. You've been done enough.
I'll have something. I'm on a strict nutritional plan. I've got a new nutritionist now. First time in 22 fights. But that's how serious and focused I am to winning another championship, doing the smaller things right. You do 99.9% of them right, but let's see what else we can do better, become a better athlete. So we'll go to the Italian restaurant, but I have some nice fish and things that I can eat. And
get swamped.
It's not against the Italians because they
took everything. How long did it take us to get out of the lobby? Did that surprise you, Sean?
What's that? To see him
get swamped like that?
Not really.
Not really?
No, I had a feeling it would take us a while to get here.
It just has not stopped. We're in LAX.
But it's crazy. Sorry to cut you off. It's crazy because obviously you interviewed me at Caesar's Palace when I first came here for Lopez, and we were just walking around no one knew me. You get the odd guy. No one knew me. I could just go wherever. I could do whatever. Now it's I can't. In my head, if I've got to go get something, I'm going to get stopped there. I can't do that. Same with the second Haney fight, we went and got a little house to be away. The first Haney fight at the hotel, I could not walk downstairs. I was sending people, can you go get this? Can you go do this with me? I had to go downstairs. She come with a big hoodie and just try to sneak through. I was ninja to just
So
go do something.
how'd you manage to still be, down to earth, cool George with the whole world?
Man, just for me,
Yeah.
I'm humbled and blessed to be in this position. I never become arrogant or no matter what things people say online and
They don't know
the
you.
way when you're in front of a camera, when you're trying to promote a fight, you've got to be a certain way.
entertainment, it's
It's entertainment, but
Yeah.
when it comes down to it, the real Kambosos is a whole different entity to ferocious Kambosos. Yeah.
LAX yesterday, Sean, we get it at 6:15 in the morning. It started there at LAX.
Oh, did it?
It started.
Yeah,
It was about
police officers and
the police officers in the line waiting to order his coffee. Stops, comes over, pictures and everything. You know what I mean? It was pretty.
That makes me happy because
Yeah,
sometimes
it's cool.
in America we think boxing's becoming a niche sport, but then when we know a guy from overseas still gets stopped at LAX.
A guy from
Pretty early
from
too.
Sydney that that come here and come from humble beginnings and can travel anywhere in the world now and be stopped, and especially here in Vegas. It's beautiful.
Well, before you do get out of here for dinner, I hope you're not just avoiding the Italian food because the Italians they stole all that culture from the Greeks without giving them their credit.
We're gonna start a big war here.
Yeah.
We start.
But we would be nothing without the Greeks.
Yeah,
so thank
yeah.
you, nobody.
Well, my promoter's Italian, so you gotta start a
Ludmilla, yeah.
We're gonna start a big war here.
Luigi. But I did want to ask you about Taylor and Lopez better than you. But before that, Maxie Hughes, good fighter, but maybe what some would call a domestic level fighter. And do you want to show a couple of levels above him?
Yes. That's the plan. Good fighter that has got himself into a position where he's rated all across the board. He's the number one in the UK as a lightweight. Has picked up an IBO world title. He's on a 7-fight win streak.
Yeah.
Now the 7 guys that he's beat, that he keeps bragging about, this 7-fight win streak, are not big name fighters. So when you start to look at experience wise, just my last 3 fights is half of the supposed 4 kings. There's half of them. But again, I'm so focused to making a statement against this guy. This guy cannot beat me. He cannot beat me on my worst day. He cannot beat me. He will not beat me on my best day. Now he can take it whatever way he wants. He can take it that I'm overlooking him. He can take it that I think that it's going to be easy fight. Take it whatever way you want. But when we get in there, you'll be shocked of the way I've evolved as a fighter, what I have learnt as a fighter, and the battles I have been in, and what motivation and hunger I have. His motivation, and I've seen it in interviews, that he wants the paydays. And even before this fight, when I just catch certain things, I'm a student of the game. I always study everything. He was looking at the paydays. I want to get the big fight in America. Payday. I want the payday. I ain't looking at the paydays. I'm looking at taking his head off, and that's all I want.
Doesn't matter who the opponent is right now. You're willing to make a big statement.
Yes, that's the plan. That's all I'm focused on. Make a good statement, a big statement, and show the American audience that I'm back.
You want to show them too that
I feel good, man. I feel good.
You want to show them too that Lopez wasn't just one great night. I'm an elite lightweight.
Because you get these idiots. Oh, he beat Lopez. That's it. I go, yeah. Well, I beat Lopez, but I also beat Lee Selby, who was the number 1 in the UK. He was the number 1 in the WBO, and
Mickey Beck.
Selby was also obviously former world champion, defended that belt 5-6 times.
Tricky fighter too.
Tricky fighter, he's big, rangy. Then I beat before that I beat Mickey Bay, veteran, Mayweather school, former world champion, big name. Prior to that, I had some really good fights. I had a good fight here. The Pacquiao and Brown undercard against Ray Perez, dangerous guy. Perez, not the greatest record, but he was coming into that fight with some big wins. He had knocked out a former world title challenger, and then he had beat twice in a row one of Golden Boy's highly touted contenders. Knocked them all out. And obviously this was the next guy that they were talking about, Kambosos. He was looking to do that. Absolutely scored him. Then we go back to Australia. We had some really good fights in Australia. The Ogilvy, the Barlers. Before that we had the Robert Toomeys and all these other guys. And then when you go to the sparring that I've done with all these different guys, obviously everyone knows the Manny Pacquiaos and the rounds I've done with the legend Pac-Man. But even the Beltrans, the Ramirez, the Sergey Lipinets, those are all these different names. So many different names that I've been able to perfect my craft and keep learning to build my craft.
George, is this the first Southpaw you ever fought?
No, I have fought earlier in my career. I fought some Southpaws.
Yeah.
When I did fight Camille Bala, he pretty much fought the fight in Southpaw as well.
Switch, yeah.
And I've sparred.
Manny Pacquiao,
I don't want to make it a big thing, but just the greatest Southpaw of all time, Manny Pacquiao.
A lot of Hagler Purdue. About time. It's a tie, right? No, I'm just kidding. I'm American, George.
Yes,
we're going to bring up Hagler and Whitaker.
When we go to accolades and divisions and world championships, I might be a little bit biased, but Pacquiao is he's that guy.
And just lastly, George, and I look forward to getting Jim Kambosos, the father and trainer, in here. Got to ask you just about Teofimo, of course. When you fought him, in and out, you walk him into a right hand. He's fighting Josh Taylor now, who, even though he's a tall guy, doesn't always use his height. He's this tough Scotsman sometimes that wants to fight. He wants to get in there and exchange. Is that a good kind of style matchup for Teofimo? Do you think he wins that fight?
It's a very good fight. At the moment, you've got to give the edge to Josh Taylor. He's the naturally bigger fighter, 140 pounder.
Yep.
And he's proven himself. He's proven. He is. I think he's very underrated in what he's done. I've kind of feel, a bit annoyed for him because of the Catchwell fight. It was a close fight. Yeah, maybe should have gone to Catchwell or whatever. People forget, and in boxing they have short memories. Boxing fans have short memories where so what about all the other guys he beat prior? He beat Ramirez, the Undisputed. He beat Prograde. He beat all the Baranchik. He beat a couple other
Postal.
Yes, all these guys that he beat leading up to they're massive names.
Yeah.
But people only remember your last fight. They remember your fight where things didn't go the best. So he's definitely a big threat in this fight. But again, Lopez as well. Look at the names that he's beat and also fought. Lomachenko he's beat. Richard Comey, Nakatani. Obviously he's fought myself. Sandalmader's no easy fight as well. He's a tricky guy. So be an interesting fight.
Sounds like you gave the edge to Taylor though by just the.
I give the edge to Taylor. I do give the edge to Taylor.
Do you give many tips? Come on, tell the truth.
Give
Taylor any tips?
Give Taylor any tips.
Hey, do this, do that.
No.
You sure?
No.
He's done enough to this man already.
Yeah.
No tips like that.
But thank you, George, so much, man, for joining us.
My pleasure, man.
Awesome, man. You've done a million interviews today. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
And FightHype.com, we will be there July 22nd in Tulsa, Oklahoma, when you fight Maxie Hughes. July 22nd on ESPN. We'll be there, brother. So thank you for your time.
No, I appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
There we go,
Jimmy
Kambosos.
All right, let's bring the dumb down.
Jim, let's get into it.
Jesus Christ. Have you got any questions for me?
We do.
George covered everything. You've covered everything. Great questions.
Great questions.
Great questions.
Jim.
Great to have you.
George, he got intense with us, but he's still going to be respectful. What say you? How does the fight look with Maxie Hughes? Does your son show he's not just one level above, but maybe two or three?
Look, we all know the history with Kambosos and beating Lopez and going in with Devin Haney. But the thing is, to get George back into that winner's circle, Maxie Hughes makes all the sense. He's a perfect style for George. Stylistically, he comes with that, pick-a-boo kind of style and he comes forward, and that's what Kambosos wants. He wants the kind of guys that come forward. And look, when I looked at Maxie Hughes, and I told George, Maxie Hughes is the guy that we want you as your return fight. George kind of thought about it a little bit and says, well, what's the reason for it? And I said, well, this is the reason, because I think Maxie Hughes is a perfect style for you. And you're going back to the States, that's a perfect fight. So we got the deal done. And to be honest, Maxie, he's not tied into. Look, it was an easy deal to get done. Mm-hmm. It was an easy deal with the Bella Entertainment. And
was the 4-fight deal already in then? Or were you guys just...
No. We hadn't gone into this multi-fight deal agreement with Top Rank yet. Okay. We were already discussing what's next for George with Lou and the Bell Entertainment, because George was his contract that we signed in 2018 was still valid. Yeah. It was still there. before it was ready to expire. So I said to Lou, you know what, Maxi Hughes, and he says, Jimmy, to be honest, I totally agree with you. It's a great fight for George. IBO title, yes, he does hold the IBO, and respect to the IBO. It's one of the one of the other belts within the four major sanctioning bodies, but it was more about George coming back and having the right fight to come back to.
Mm-hmm. You know? You got your son and the grandsons. They played with 5 belts. You could potentially add another 6 belt here on July the 22nd. Also an IBF eliminator.
Well, that's the other part of it, which is even greater. When I spoke with Lou and I said, look, Maxi is. Lou said to me, Maxi's not title promoter, which is good because I think he was with Matchroom, and I think. Then all of a sudden he wasn't with the promoter.
Waiting for too. Well,
yeah. And the thing is, it made it easier to get the deal done. Okay. But then we said to Lou, listen, Maxi Hughes, that's what we want. The IBO, it's great, but we want that number 2 eliminator spot, and we need to go down and lobby Mr. Daryl Peoples and get that done. That's literally going to tick all boxes, and we got it done. Mm-hmm. We the IBF ratified it. They said, yeah. We're happy for contracts, to be sent over and signed, and we'll get that number 2. So that's what makes the most sense for George Kambosos right now, is to go out and obviously great fight against Maxi Hughes, and George will make a statement, and I believe he will, because I could just see that hunger and that drive, and I could see a fresh Kambosos, but it's that number 2 position which gets George straight back into the mix. Who's
at the top of this? Is that Cruz? Esau Cruz, who's at number 1 at IBF?
No, it's Lemnos, the Argentinian, 26-0. Mm-hmm.
Tough.
Like a Stano kind of guy, Warm comes forward, but it really hasn't fought outside of Argentina. It really hasn't got any. His resume looks good, 26-0, but the thing is there's not any big names there.
But he did what he had to do to get to that spot.
Well, he did, and he deserves the number 1 position. He's not mandatory, but the thing is, he deserves the number 1 spot. The number 2 is always vacant. So the thing is, we knew that Maxi Hughes, Kambosos, gets the result, which he will, and he gets the number 2. Yep. And then depending on what happens on tomorrow's fight, which is so interesting, is if Devin moves up, Kambosos is all of a sudden back in the mix, fighting for a vacant IBF full title.
Is this fighter from Argentina? Is he with a promoter that could get in the way of making a fight on Top Rank on ESPN?
Good point.
Getting in the way, in other words, like more money.
No, with the promoter, with a PBC or a Matchroom that wouldn't allow him to fight George.
I don't even know myself.
He's with an Argentinian promoter.
Okay, so there shouldn't be a problem.
There'll be nothing there to kind of muscle Top Rank or Develop Entertainment, ESPN or anything like that out of George Kambosos' Lemnos fight if it was for a vacant title. There's nothing there.
Well,
even a burst bid, if it went to a burst bid, if you had to go down that route, I don't think they'd be able to come up with that kind of money anyway to cover it. So I'm confident in every way that Kambosos, for a vacant title, it's going to be...
I love how you keep it so objective. You still call him as if he's this other fighter, like he's Haney or Lopez. You still call him Kambosos instead of your son or George.
Yeah. Well, you've got to think like that.
Yes.
Well, this is it, But...
So,
go ahead.
Because the wheels are turning in my head as you're talking about it now, and I'm thinking, well, what's the plan? Is it maybe Maxi Hughes? Then if the title becomes vacant, then you fight for an IBF title against this fighter from Argentina, and then we get into the big boys, as they call it, the Stevenson or Davis.
You're going to give the plan away?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not really giving anything away. I mean,
It's like your vision.
It's our roadmap of where obviously George Kambosos is going to be, and that is the Maxi Hughes, which makes the most sense, and then obviously I've been speaking to Bill in the past. Bill tells me that Devin's at the 140. He's going to move to 140. The weight's getting a bit tough. So Jim, just to give you a little bit
the scoop.
Jim and Bill. I'll tell you.
Man, we've got a lot of love for each other.
Sean, FightHype.com fans out there. You talk about like Jim and T.O. Senior was the complete opposite.
Look, it's just
and Bill. It's like today. It's like your little brothers.
Very sentimental.
It's sentimental respect.
A lot of respect for Devin and for Bill. When you start, I was asked this question today. When you compare, how do you compare Bill and Devin compared to Tio and Tio Senior. I mean, it's amazing. You can't really compare it because the thing is, you've got the Bill Haney is such a respectful man, you know, and you know he's just a good guy and he gives good hugs, and you know, and I've got Tio where Tio Senior just wants to sort of like, you know, get in the way all the time and get really loud and
bro, my son is gonna knock you
and he forces me to grab him by the
It's not even gonna go one round, bro.
Yeah, he forces me to grab him by the throat and kind of
promoting the fight.
Yeah, you know, choke him out instead of just giving him.
We love you, Tio Senior.
No, we do. It's all done and dusted. It's all.
Like we saw him in the lobby. How would that be now? Like George and Tio, would it be?
What?
Would Tio be humble towards George in the lobby, or would it be like, fuck you, bro?
Well, let's put it this way. I mean, you know, is there going to be cameras around and media, or is it just going to be Jim Kambosos, George Kambosos, Tio and Tio Senior? Because it makes a difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Certainly. So for those who don't know, Devin's asked a couple of requirements tomorrow night, and one is that George comes back.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
Oh, to come see you guys going to pay Bill and Devin a visit in the dressing room?
In the dressing room as they're going through the preparation.
Will be on location for that.
Nick will.
No, I won't be. I'm doing other stuff tomorrow night, but. I thought that was really cool when we got that message coming through at Ferocious Promotions around that. That was just
they requested it then, right? They
Devin's asked.
Yeah.
Devin's asked, and
look, because there's so much respect for each other. But look, you got to understand, like we obviously when we went through this process, Devin was given the opportunity to fight George Kambosos, right? As George touched on it. George goes out and beats Teofimo Lopez and he beat him in style. A 13-1 underdog. George is now the king of the lightweight division.
At the time, yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you know, the Lomachenko team's knocking on the door.
Eagles is ringing you.
Eagles rang me. Eagles personally rang me on WhatsApp.
A bit more stern.
And he said,
coming down.
Mr. Kambosos, he says, your son is the king of the lightweight division. He says, look, we want to get this deal done because Vasiliy Lomachenko wants to have the opportunity to fight the king of the lightweight division, George Kambosos, for all the belts that George holds. He goes, let me make it easy for you. We will get our side sorted with the money. You don't have to worry about your end. We're taking anything out of your end.
He goes, belts.
Exactly.
But he was the B-side too.
Yes. And he said, just to make it even more attractive, so we can get this deal done, is we will give George Kambosos the rematch if Vasiliy beats George back in Australia.
Wow.
And I thought, okay.
That's a good deal.
Let's talk. So obviously George got a promoter in response to Lou DiBella, and it all went pretty much, discussions were flowing nicely. You know, the whole thing was signed off and agreed on, and then the war breaks out. Then we thought, okay, what's going on? We're hearing these rumours now that Vasiliy, you know, he's all upset about what's happening in Ukraine, and so Lomachenko was given 7 days to commit to the Kambosos fight in Australia. He had to get permission to leave the country by the Ukrainian Prime Minister and government. He had to leave and set himself up for 10 weeks, either in the United States or in Australia, to make sure that the fight wasn't jeopardised in any way with Kambosos. In the 11th hour, he said, I can't do it, and respect to the man, I can't do it because I have a bigger battle on my hands with Russia invading Ukraine. Now, who comes into play? Devin Haney.
But like Sean and I was saying before, you guys could have gone a different route.
We could have went straight.
I honestly think most would have.
We could have went any route, but you're talking about.
And George. It was the same deal, Sean. It was exactly the same.
It was exactly the same deal.
That's going to respect them.
It was, and George Kambosos, the warrior that he is, you know, he didn't. I said to him, listen, Lomachenko's out. We can now go top 15 and choose anybody we want.
He could have.
I says, you know what, you've earned the right, George. You know, we're back home in Australia. It's been 5 years on the road and literally, you know, on the grind to make it happen. You've made it happen. You know what he turns around and says to me?
Devin Haney.
I am not coming to Australia as the undisputed champion of the world. And I know how people turn around and say, you're not unified. Right, as far as I'm concerned, he's undisputed because Mauricio Sulaiman made that franchise belt on purpose, give it to Lomachenko, because that means that you can't have a mandatory against WBC, right? And that's what it was. If you hadn't done that, no one, the WBC regular wouldn't be handed down. So you really got to say it's the undisputed. But the simple thing is that, what was I touching on?
To get all the belts.
To get all the belts.
You went for Devin Haney.
Yeah, we went for Devin Haney. But
probably...
George goes, I don't want to give the Australian people a tomato can to fight.
Right.
They deserve for me to fight the best. Why should I come back after 5 years and George Kambosos fights a guy that he walks through 3-4 rounds? All right, the people are going to say, congratulations, George defended successfully, but really, who did he fight? So George Cesarea goes, nah, you get me Devin Haney.
Which was doing the sport.
Yeah.
There's a good chance Devin would have wound up fighting at lightweight his whole career without ever getting a shot and would have had to move up before he ever got the opportunity.
And Devin said to George, after the first fight when he obviously beat George, and then we went down the rematch, we're confident we can do a job on Devin. He said, you changed my life.
In the second fight.
You gave me the opportunity to change my life.
Very strong connection.
And this is where there's a lot of respect, where he wants George to come back into the dressing room.
Right.
Because the thing is, George did change his life. Did we have to go down that road? No.
Right.
We could have went any road. But
Devin's solid.
You had integrity to do it.
But what's the risk of doing that too? You go down a different route, you pick a top 15 guy, you have a bad night, you get beat by a no-name, all of a sudden, everyone turns around and goes, well, wow. You know, he flogged Lopez in an unbelievable performance, but he had a shit. Look what happened now. He beat two. It happens. You're back home. You've got
Zach, who you were talking to downstairs before he fights Floyd Mayweather, loses to Carlos Baldomir.
Yeah,
right.
Look, that's the risk.
It started well against Floyd. It was probably I felt early in the fight.
Yeah,
until there's some
that's
stuff
the risks
happened.
in boxing because
Roger Mayweather.
You know, like you got to think about it. We're back home after so many years in Australia. George Kambosos is now, you know, the face of Australian boxing. Still is. He's promoting the fight. All his energy's going to all the media that we're getting. We've got so much coming, you know, in George's direction. So we're looking, you know, we've got to make this the biggest fight in Australian history. So we got 45,000. It was a successful event, but there's a lot of energy from George Kambosos into promoting that event. Now, when you're tied up into that, and you know, you fight a guy that's in the top 15, and you lose to a guy like that because you're so, you know, involved in promoting the fight, that's not a good look. But you know what? You fought the top guy, Devin Haney. You know?
Well, he was saying he lost himself a little bit in that first fight promotion, and I asked you when you were off camera, but now I got you, and I want to. Was there a moment where you had to pull your son aside and say, "Hey, George, you know that's not you," or anything like that, or what?
He was pretty pumped up, but he had a lot of things going on.
No, I had a lot going on my end, obviously managing George and pretty much a lot of the stuff that I had to handle behind the scenes. There was like so many different co-promoters and promoters and events people and that. So we were looking at, obviously, I was looking at working behind the scenes to make sure it was a successful event. But it wasn't like I had to pull him, you know, and get him grounded or nothing like that. He was grounded. I know, you know, George is like, he's the man now and everybody wants a piece of the man. But the thing is, there was so much involved in getting this fight, promoting it, marketing it. He felt really good. He trained really well. Everything was really great. But as soon as he walked in that ring, Marble Stadium, and it was cold in there. It was cold.
I'm still feeling it. 2 o'clock during the day, and it's about
when I seen
8
that,
degrees.
when I seen that first round
During the day, Sean.
Yeah, it was cold. It was the middle of winter, June. But you know what?
Outdoor.
When I first
June, winter over
They
there.
put the roof over
here in summer, right?
Yeah. And when
middle of winter.
And you know what? That first round, I thought, that ain't George Kambosos.
You straight away?
I know Devin did what he did, you know, because you win a fight by any means, and he knew that George is an aggressive.
You knew the first round.
I could see that it was. I could see George's feet. I could see the way, you know, he was like that jab wasn't as fast as it should be. He wasn't so like slipping and moving, and I thought, yeah, you know what?
Waiting, huh?
It was too much sitting in front of Devin, and he was just, and Devin buck bang move, you know, do what you have to do to win the fight. And it wasn't an exciting fight, you know. I mean, it was yes, it was closer than everybody thinks when George said about the commentary, but it wasn't George Kambosos.
Okay.
It wasn't George Kambosos, and I knew that, in my mind, that this whole thing, and it's not an excuse, he was drained. He didn't show it, but I could tell it was drained. I think he was just, the whole thing took it out of him. Coming back home after 5 years, you're the king of the lightweight division, this whole promotion, all this media constantly, there was so much going on. I'm trying to change things. We're flying from here, there, everywhere to get this promotion.
Helicopters.
I think it took it out.
Sean, it was, and like Sean...
There was a lot. There was a lot. Because Australia hadn't seen this before. I mean, he goes down as one of the greatest fighters in Australian history, and all of a sudden everybody wants a piece of George Kambosos.
Yeah, it's since Horn Pacquiao, but I felt it was bigger than Horn Pacquiao.
Look,
because the
Pacquiao's a big name. He's he's the greatest of all time.
One of.
And obviously credit to Jeff Horn what he did, but
I thought he won that fight too. I didn't think it was a robbery. It was close. It was
You give
close.
the Jeff Horn?
It was close.
Yeah.
I gave it roughed him up from the first round.
It was very close. Yeah.
It wasn't a boxing match. It was a fight, and he won that fight.
From round one, Pacquiao was uncomfortable and didn't quite look like himself. But
and you know what? And Jeff Horn really just like roughed him up and did what he had to do to win that fight, and good on him.
Jimmy, he's told me this, but and you believe this, when you guys walked to the ring, and when we all walked to the ring and there was media going on, George said he wasn't nervous when he walked out into Marvel Stadium. What's your take on that? How can you not be nervous going there in front of 44,000 people? Was that because he was just that drained, the endorphins and the serotonin was gone? Because I think when Devin come flying down on that golf buggy, I'll never forget it, he come flying down. He was warm, Sean. His warm-up was so on point, and he had the big hoodie on, and man, he looked absolutely incredible. When he walked to the ring, Devin was just like, you got to go back. He's a 23-year-old kid going to the bottom of the. That's why I respect Devin so much, because when you stop and think, Pacquiao come down there, fought Horn. He's 36, 37 at the time. He's experienced. He's been out of the country. Devin's fought in Mexico so many times. He's never been to Australia. 15-hour flight, jet lag, comes out 4 weeks in advance. Pacquiao comes out 12 days before the fight.
And got sick. Got sick.
If you don't know, he got very, very sick, because I think he was up in the casino placing some big bets, but we won't go there. But Devin walks to the ring, 23-year-old kid in front of 44,000 people, and he's on point. But your son reckons he walked to the ring and he wasn't nervous.
Probably, look.
How can you not be nervous?
I think everybody gets nervous no matter what.
He said,
especially for an occasion like that. I just think he wasn't nervous enough.
Like Tito.
To like Tito, you could tell that killer look in him, the way
when he walked in.
Dressing room, the
ring.
vibe, the feel, watching George like in that Tito, like we were preparing. It was just an unbelievable. The dressing room vibe was great, but I just don't think that George was like nervous enough. Maybe he was resigned to the fact that I'm the champ, and this guy can't hurt me. I'm confident I'm beating him. But I believe it was drained as well, because I could tell straight away by seeing him. He was
no excuses. Second fight, he was not drained. He was
second
fresh.
fight, did you feel like that's George in there?
Yeah, 100%. 100%, because we went pretty much stealth. We went undercover. We weren't promoting the fight. I was getting a lot from that. Why isn't George Kambosos promoting the fight? But I said, look, we want to win them belts back. We're concentrating on victory, and we're not going to go out and go by the countryside and fly here, there, and everywhere to market the event. We just went, boom.
Where did you go?
Nothing. I was getting a lot of flack. People were threatening to sue me, because of. I said, hold on.
Did you fly there?
We're meeting our commitments. We're not breaching our contracts. We are meeting our commitments, but we're not going above and beyond this time round from what you guys expect, because we're here to win a fight, and especially in Australia, no one's seen this kind of
a covert operation,
and they're trying to sort of like get everything out of you, and don't understand the importance of there's a fighter going to fight and he wants to win a fight. But you know what, Devin just went to another level. I mean, George changed it up, and we were very confident. We flew in we flew in some fighters, and the things were very confident. But you know what, Devin all of a sudden just showed us something different again. And once, even though George was like switching and he was confusing Devin, and they were a little bit surprised in the first couple of rounds, I think once Devin kind of sort of like, started timing George, he started like basically doing what he wanted to do, and he felt comfortable, and then George went back to his original style, and then, because you can always go back to what you know.
Because it looked like...
Geez, I tell you what, I mean... Devin was like, he
grew that night, as a fighter.
He showed so much more. But you know what? George hit him with some shots, some body shots. You talked about
shot
that
in round 9.
You talked about
George
that
is
right
down,
hand.
so he's going all out. That right hand in
Over the
round
top.
9, over the top.
Yeah.
He circled.
And it was beautifully set up.
He landed it. He was in good gloves. And he said to me, Nick, that shot was just as much heat.
George goes
than
off
the
on my
Tio one.
knuckles. Yeah.
He turned it over.
So maybe too much made about Haney's chin? Because
Haney's
he was
got
able
chin.
to, yeah.
No, look, George goes, I hit him that sweet. He goes, it was a perfect shot. He goes, I felt it on my knuckles.
Ooh.
He goes, I knew that it was a
Because in
beautiful
the
shot.
first fight in the corner, Bill kept on saying, stay away from the brick, stay away from
That's
the brick.
right.
They were nervous in the first fight of the right hand.
Because-
right? But they never landed. George never really got the right hand in, you know, and then he landed it. Devin was like, he did, yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. See, because they knew that George's the aggressor. They saw what he did to Tio and literally basically busted Tio right up. They were worried about the right hand.
Yeah.
You know, Bill's calling out in the corner, stay away from the brick. He was calling that throughout the whole fight.
Yeah, the brick.
But the thing is, you know what, George's trying to get on the inside and Devin's keeping him on the outside with that jab. And George's feet, I could tell, you know what, feet are not moving. You're not going to get the inside. George, you're too flat. You know, he's just doing what he wants. And really, he's not like doing anything special. He's just picking you off.
Mm-hmm.
And you could tell George wasn't himself. In the second one, he was literally, you know, ready for
making
the fight.
angles,
Switching,
yeah.
moving,
Devin
you know,
went back
doing
to
all the right things, but Devin just
went back to the corner after round 1 and round 2.
Yeah,
and Bill said,
Bill was yelling at him.
Bill's like,
what you doing out there? What are you doing? You know, blah, blah, blah.
So is Bill an underrated scientist in there? Because he's not a former professional fighter, but he seems very technical in the corner. Do you think the fans maybe underestimate Bill Haney as a trainer?
Yeah, they do, and obviously they've got a great team. They've got like 4 or 5, you know, people that work with Devin and perfect, you know, various, you know, parts of what Devin does. You know,
Bill learned and observed Mike McCallum, Roy Jones, Floyd Senior,
and he oversees
Roger Mayweather. Like, Sean, you remember that?
And he oversees everything that they do with Devin, right?
Because Mayweather's skill fighter.
Yeah, he is.
And as George said, you know, I mean, he's.
Any part of you thinking I would have liked to have been around some of those guys too, Bill? You know,
Yeah.
But Bill said to me after the fight, he says, you know what, you guys, you know, you had us worried there for the first few rounds. He says, we didn't think that George was going to come in southpaw, you know, and this switching and stuff like that. He goes, but you had us worried. You know, so well, Bill,
and he was one thing, and I brought this up to Lomachenko this week because he's talking about the Jojo Diaz fight. He said Diaz did good. He landed some left hands. I'm even better than he is.
Yes.
And I told him, you are. Yeah. But one thing about Diaz, tough Mexican kid, was willing to take one to land one, and so was George in fight number 2, and that's why he got in that right hand. Do you think Lomachenko, who at his whole heart is a technician, you know, do you think he'll be willing to take one to land one tomorrow night?
Well, he's going to have to, isn't he?
Right.
He's going to have to. You know what? And when you say that he compares what Jojo Diaz and the Haney fight, I was sitting ringside for that. And Devin Haney's body is nowhere near what he's like Kambosos' fight and what he's going to come in tomorrow night. Devin is just
bigger.
Mate, I looked at Devin. I saw that fight ringside. George was commentating for the Zone, right? Because obviously they flew us there after George's victory and all the rest of it. And you know what? Myself and George said, you know what, man? Mate, Diaz put it to him. He came forward, you know, walked him down. He got caught with shots, you know, this. You know what, George Kambosos? I think if you fight Devin, it's a great fight. And you know what? I think he can do that. But Devin...
Then all of a sudden he learned how to rehydrate once he fights George.
And all of a sudden, he's a big lightweight.
He's growing. Devin's
big
still
lightweight.
growing.
But you know what? You've got to take the shots, take the risks. Can Lomachenko, you know, take those risks? What happens when he does feel Devin's power? And how does he kind of sort of like move from there? We'll see tomorrow, I suppose.
What chances do you give Lomachenko tomorrow?
Oh, great chance. I mean, this is a really interesting fight. I mean, it's you talk about, you know, Devin Haney and how big he is, and you know he's got that jab, he keeps you on the outside, and he's got really good footwork. The back foot's unbelievable. You know the way he moves in and out. He's got that defensive style, and Lomachenko's got the fast feet. You know, he can tap down that jab of his, and you know, look. I believe that the younger man, the bigger man, I think, you know, he's going to get the result. I think it'll go the distance, and I think it'll be a very clear victory to Devin Haney. But I don't think so. Mate, this is Lomachenko too, mate. You know, I mean, he's He's a great. He's 30. What? 35.
35. Yeah.
35. You know, look. This is why I'm so excited about this fight tomorrow. But it also, I'm excited in various ways because George Kambosos, with his Maxi Hughes fight July 22nd, it plays a big role where this ends up tomorrow with where George is going to be and who he's going to fight. Well, does Devin win, which I feel that way in my mind, and he vacates and gets to 140, George gets a crack, he's got to beat Maxi, obviously. Or does Lomachenko pinch the cookies, and then we've got to sit down and talk to Top Rank and everyone and say, you know what, we gave Lomachenko the respect to fight George Kambosos before the war. You give the respect back to George, and let's get a Kambosos Lomachenko if that's all. I mean, there's various ways.
You pinch the cookies, huh?
Yeah,
what's that? What's that, Nick? What's
you come to somebody's house, they're all cool.
The cookie jar's there, and you nick the cookies out of the jar. It's
2 minutes.
So I guess we're running out of time here.
Yeah,
Jim. But
that's all right.
Thanks for being on
But
FightHype.
that Italian restaurant.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here on FightHype.
Those damn guineas, they stole everything from the Greeks. You know that, right? So I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, I know. But
sorry, thank you for everything.
We're trying our best to get it all back, but that's all right. We're all good. I love Italian food, man. I love Italian food. But it's great to be on the show with you guys.
Well,
I'm a little bit shy. I don't really like to talk much.
Oh, please.
Leave it to I. Leave it to Sean.
Yeah, but I think I'm going all right.
You're going great.
No, it's good.
Think we'll have you on again at some point?
Well, obviously we've got a multi-fight deal here in the States. So the thing is, we're going to be here a lot more often with Kambosos, and looking forward to what's next. But I'm really looking forward to tomorrow's fight.
No worries.
Final thing. Well, you got Haney decision, right? Sounds like 9-3, 8-4, 10-2 kind of.
I don't.
No, probably. I go about 7-5.
Okay, well that's pretty close.
7-5.
Yeah.
Is that what you really think?
What do you think, Nick?
Devin's stopping him.
Devin, stop.
Look, man, look. I believe that Devin will get the victory 7-5, but you know what? He's got the power to do it as well. But tomorrow we'll see where that's at. I want Devin.
I said something to somebody who I respect more than anyone in boxing. Devin's got to stop this guy tomorrow night to really go right up to an elite. We talk about Floyd at 135 back in the day. He said some people say Devin's the closest thing to Floyd and whatever. Well, if you are, you've got to stop Lomachenko, because when we look at Corrales, we look at some other guys, we look at Gaddy and that, Floyd was
Hernandez, Matt Freddy.
Yeah, look,
Matt Freddy was one that I pulled out, but the Corrales one, I can't start thinking about Floyd because I won't stop. Floyd was stopping these guys. If Floyd was fighting him tomorrow night, Floyd'd stop him. So Devin, you got to stop him.
Well, look,
no pressure.
We'll find out tomorrow night, but I've got Devin winning the fight.
Can't go to the card.
If it goes the distance, I believe it's going to be like a close fight. If Devin stops him, by all means, mate, the guy's pound for pound. He just beat.
And hopefully he gets some fucking respect about beating that list.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And he will get respect in that list. But if he makes a statement, well,
but as Jamel says these guys that are making the pound for pound list, they got guts like me, and they've never fucking known anything about boxing, and they don't even have Devin in the top 5.
That's a different discussion for a different day. But you know what?
All right, Ron.
I've got it that way. Devin Haney, and that's it. And you're saying you'll stop him? That is a big possibility too, but what are your thoughts?
I'll take Haney by unanimous decision.
I think it's unanimous decision to Haney.
It's good. That's my opinion.
But look,
I love the expectations you're holding them to, though. It's great.
But you
because I know this guy's just been to Australia twice. The confidence. I know what he's been doing to blokes over here the last 6 weeks. And Loma, you've been, you're a little bit aging, and Devin really wants to put it on you, and it'll be good early, and then you got to
wouldn't be shocked if
Do you think Loma brings the dog
I think we've got to
tomorrow?
wrap this up.
Do you think Loma brings the dog tomorrow, and the dog in him, for this fight?
He brings the dog like a man Freddie did with Floyd,
and then
you start to figure it, and then you'll get stopped. Devin is bigger and stronger now. I spoke about the 2. We're not fighting at 2 o'clock, guys. We're fighting tomorrow night at 10:15.
Yeah, 36 hours. He's going to come in as a middleweight.
Yeah, you got to stop him. Yeah. Come on, Dev. Devin, Bill, if you're watching, we're looking for you, Bill. Bill, we'll be looking for you. I want to see a stoppage.
Good stuff.
I'll go the decision, but you know what? I'll take the stoppage as well.
Well,
Yeah.
well, like we talked with George, if Lomachenko is going to put on a lot of pressure, sometimes that increases the punching power of the other guy. You're giving him a little extra force by running into the shot. So
we are talking about we're talking a skillful guy with great feet,
Yes.
and who's going to try to get on the inside,
Yeah,
and he's and we're talking about a guy that you can't say it's a one-sided fight. You can just say that this is a really interesting fight, and I'm looking at it.
Diego Corrales
decision,
versus Floyd Mayweather at 50-50. Diego's the most baddest guy in Vegas. Floyd's moving up, man. This is dangerous. The length. Diego's too big. What up?
All right. Well, we'll close on that, brother. Thank you, everyone.
We'll be ringside tomorrow night, and we'll see how it all plays out.
FightHype.com.
See everyone tomorrow. Thank you. Thanks, Jim.